So you're doing all these new things and you've made a lot of progress on your goals. And then you hit a wall. What do?
You create what you feel and you can make what you want real. There is a way to make the change. It cannot wait another day.
Hey guys, today I wanted to talk about what to do when you get stuck. Say you are trying to implement changing your mindset or gratitude, or you're on a weight loss journey, or starting a business, or writing a book, whatever your goal may be. What do you do when you get stuck? That is what I want to go over now. I have 5 tips for you, so stay tuned. My first tip is to appreciate how far you've come. No matter what your goal is, you've made some progress towards it, whether that is big or small. Whatever your goal is, appreciate what you have already done. Appreciate how far you've already come. It's very easy to see all the things ahead of us we have to do, but very rarely do we look behind at all that we've already accomplished. And those things looked just as scary as these new things that are coming up. But we forget about that because it's over, it's done with, we've already moved past it. So when you're stuck, take a moment to realize how far you've come. Take a moment to actually be proud of yourself for all the progress that you've made, because you have made progress. It may not look like it. Maybe you didn't make any progress within the last day or week, but you've been making progress. And if we don't acknowledge that, if we just ignore that and always look at where we need to go, and of course, definitely keep in mind where you want to go so that you reach it, but don't discount what you've already done. Don't discount all the progress you've already made. Realize that, and you will already feel better about your goals. You will already feel better about where you're at, because you're changing the story that you're telling yourself. Instead of telling yourself, I haven't done enough, I haven't lost enough weight, I haven't had as many changes in my life as I want, you're recognizing, I have had changes, I have made progress. There's been a shift, and just doing that is already enough to move you forward and to continue going after your goals and creating a life that you love. My second tip is to take a break. Take a break. You do not have to always be in go mode all the time. You do not always have to be on. You do not always have to be in that go, go, go mentality. You can take a break. You can take a step back. I give you permission. You're not always going to have perfect days. It's just not how it works, guys. It's just not. So when those days pop up, it's okay to take a break. Yes, even if you are on a weight loss journey like I was and still am, I take breaks. A lot of them. I will have days where I eat really healthy and I'm proud of myself, and I will have days where I eat a lot of junk food and I don't beat myself up for it, because you know what? Who cares? It's one day. I'm gonna get back to it tomorrow. There's no point in beating myself up. It's what I felt I had to do in the moment. And sometimes what we need to do is counterproductive to our goals in the moment, just so we can have that moment of familiarity again while we're moving toward this new territory that's unfamiliar and a little scary. It's nice to have those moments where, yeah, you go back to your bad habits for a day or two. Sometimes it's a really unproductive week. It happens. But it's nice to go back to that thing that's familiar and then kind of realize that's not really for you anymore. It's nice to go back to every so often when you're feeling lazy, but the more you continue with your new goals, the less urge you'll have to go back to your old ones, and the more you'll be able to enjoy them on occasion instead of going back to your old patterns. So take a break. Don't get stuck in the break, but take a break. My third tip is to reassess your approach. After you've taken a moment to be grateful for how far you've come and recognize all the progress that you've made, and taken your well-deserved break that you have earned, reassess your approach. Oftentimes when we're starting a new goal, whatever that is, and we start talking to ourselves, we start getting in our head saying that nothing's working, I've not made any progress. You know the drill. First of all, that's not true. But second of all, it's not everything that's not working. Yeah, maybe some things aren't working and that's why you're hitting these walls. But it's not everything that you're doing that isn't working. Some things are working. That's how you have made the progress that you have made thus far. Things obviously are working, just not everything is working. So reassess your approach. Really analyze and be mindful and aware of the things that you're doing towards your goals, and the ones that are working and the ones that aren't working. Don't blanket statement everything and say it's not working. I did this a lot when I was losing weight. It takes so much fucking time. I have buried anger for weight loss results. It takes so much time to the point where it is very frustrating, as you can see. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of work. You have to make a lot of changes and stick to them for a substantial amount of time before you see results. And I often would get in my own head and just be crying on my bed that nothing's working. I haven't lost any weight. I look exactly how I did 6 months ago, and it was just a whole mess. And that wasn't the case. Obviously things were working. I had made some progress that I was refusing to recognize because in my mind it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough progress. Yeah, there was little changes here and there, but like, I want to look like this and I don't, so no progress has been made. Sorry. And that's how I looked at it, but that wasn't the case. A lot of things were working, but not everything I was doing was working. There were some things that I had to switch out and try again. And that's okay. Trial and error is not a tip that I'm including, but it's a sub tip. Trial and error, guys. That's part of reassessing your approach. Not everything you're gonna do is gonna work right off the bat. Some of it will, so take what does and leave what doesn't and find what else works. Whatever your goal is, learn from as many people that you want to emulate as you can and take what works for you and leave what doesn't. Some things are going to resonate with you. Some things you're going to be like, I can easily apply that, and you're going to see results. Other things aren't going to work for you, and that's okay. You get to tailor your own little thing and make it work for you, because that's the goal. That's the goal. So reassess your approach so that everything you're doing is working for you, not just some of it. Maybe you're spending too much time on one thing and not enough time on something else. Maybe you're lacking some balance. Reassess your approach. Like I said, you don't always have to be on. So maybe you're giving too much time to what you need and you're leaving yourself drained and you're not giving time to these other things. Or maybe you're giving too much time to these other things and making them all an excuse and not enough time for the thing that you're passionate about, for your goal. Find your balance, reassess your approach, find what is working, keep it, and let go of what isn't to make room for the things that will continue to push you forward. My fourth tip is to alter your perspective. Maybe there are certain blocks that are coming up, and instead of looking at what is coming as what it is, maybe, like I do, maybe you attach emotional meanings from past experiences to that. For instance, if you're trying to start your own business and you're not getting that many clients, maybe instead of thinking logically like, oh, I'm not advertising enough, I'm not putting enough work into getting my work out there, you instead look at that, like I have, and say, I'm not good enough. That's why I'm not getting enough clients, because I'm not good enough. I'm not able to do this. I'm not cut out to run my own business. I'm not cut out for this. I'm not meant to do this. I should just give up right now because clearly it's not working. So you know what? Why bother? Like I said, I speak from experience because I have these moments a lot. As a musician who also has her own business of doing online music lessons that I'm trying to get off the ground, and YouTube videos, no less, that I'm trying to propel as well. I have a lot of days where I need to shift my perspective, because it's really easy for us to assume the absolute worst when our goals don't pan out immediately or in the way that we envision. Holding on to that perspective of past disappointments that didn't go the way that you had wanted, holding on to that disappointment and bringing it to the new thing, to your new goal, isn't going to serve you. It's not going to get you closer to your goals if every time something happens, your perspective is the worst case scenario, is the absolute worst thing imaginable, which is most likely not even true. It's just the story that you're telling yourself. So shift your perspective. Look at things as glass half full instead of half empty, because ultimately what you are telling yourself when something happens is going to determine whether or not you continue to go after your goals, whether or not you continue to push forward. If every time something doesn't go your way and your first response is, it's because I'm not good enough, it's because I'm not meant to do this, it's because it's too hard, it's because I should give up. How many times do you have to tell yourself that before you listen to yourself and you just give up? For some, it'll be quicker than others, but eventually we'll all get to that point where we just give up, because what's the point? We've told ourselves over and over again that it's not going to work, it's not going to pan out. And eventually we're going to believe that. We're going to believe that it's true, that it's not going to work out. We're going to take our own word for truth instead of figuring it out and trying for ourselves. So shift your perspective to where it's uplifting your goal and uplifting and moving you towards what it is you want, because your perspective, what you're telling yourself about what is happening, is going to shape the reaction that you give it. The perspective that you have when challenges come up, when you are working towards your goals, is going to determine the action that you're willing to take to overcome them. If your perspective is that you're not able to do this, that's going to greatly affect the action that you're willing to take. Where if your perspective is, oh, that didn't work out, okay, I'll find the way that will. I can do this. This is totally possible. This one thing just didn't work, so let me find the thing that does. Which dialogue, which inner dialogue, which thought process do you think is going to push you towards your goals more? So you need to be mindful of your perspective. Not everything bad that happens when you're on your way to your goals is to push you off track. More often than not, it's so you can either learn something new or reassess your approach to find something that works. It's usually, more often than not even the worst case scenario that you are repeating non-stop in your mind. That's usually not the case. So shift your perspective. Throw that out, because it's not serving you, it's not true, and it's not going to get you to your goals. So shift your perspective to what you want to be true and what will move you towards your goals. Your perspective will determine the results that you get in the end, because it determines the action that you're willing to take. My last tip is to start small. Now, that might be a little confusing because we've already started, we've already made progress, we've established that. That was the first thing, was to appreciate how far you've come. And the second thing was to take a break. So after you've taken a break and you've reassessed your approach and kind of have a better idea of what is working and what is not, and you've shifted your perspective, so you're no longer feeding yourself that self-loathing monologue that never seems to disappear. After all that, you're not going to want to jump right in to exactly how you were doing things before, because we've established not everything was working. Some things were working, some things were not, and you've needed a break. You've burned yourself out. So start again small. Start with the things that you know that are working And just do that instead of having this giant list of everything that you need to do and all the steps you have to take, all the habits you have to change, all the goals you want to get to. Instead of having that be what you jump right back into, start small. Because if you are taking a break and you have to go from doing nothing to going right back into doing everything, some things that were not working, you're not going to be that, you're not going to want to jump right into that the next day. If you are taking a break from your goals, if you're sliding back into those bad habits just a little bit for the day, and you know that what lies ahead is this massive list of things you need to jump right back into, how likely are you to say, you know what, let me give it another day, one more day, and then that one more day continues to stretch out to where a couple weeks have now gone by and you've been stuck back in your old routine because mentally you've built up what you need to get back into to such a huge level that you no longer have the motivation to do any of it. So start small. Don't expect to go from 0 to 10 again. In a way, you're at 0 again. You've taken a break, you've reassessed what is working and what is not. So start small so that you're able to build off of that instead of giving up and not doing anything at all. Start small. So that is all I have for you guys today. Those are my 5 tips for what to do when you're stuck. Appreciate how far you've come. Take a break. Reassess your approach. Change your perspective and start again small. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I had a lot more mess ups than I normally did. Some I already included and just worked them into the video, and others I'm saving for the end. So stay tuned for that. If you're still here, you might as well. And while I have you, if you have not already checked out my last video, Your Mindset Matters Literally, I hope you check it out now, especially if you are on a mindset journey of your own and you are trying to shift your perspective so that you can better serve your goals. I hope you check it out. And if you are on a weight loss journey, I talked about that a little bit through this video, but I have an entire video on that about my unconventional weight loss tips. So I hope you check them both out and follow me on Instagram and TikTok at taylor.voice, and check out my music here on YouTube and on SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/taylorvoice. Thank you guys so much. I will see you next time, and I hope that these tips help you to create a life that you love, because you deserve it. And if you don't create it for yourself, who will?
You dictate where your mind goes, you decide how your life flows, you're the guide. Don't delay, it cannot wait another day.
Instead of focusing on how much we've already done, instead, I forgot what I was talking about. I blame you. You've taken a moment to be grateful for how full. After you've taken a moment to be, no, that's not where I'm starting from, dude. Okay. To assume, what am I saying? I don't know. But eventually, is okay. Are going to determine that I can't talk because you have a Jeez Louise! That is all I have for you guys today. That happens. It was, oh my god, see? It's happening again!